Hello everyone, I'm back. I know it's been a little bit, but I just hit my 2 years at my job, which means 2 years as a UX designer, and super exciting. But I figured I would do a little video, kind of a reflection of 2 years and basically what I've learned, where I want to go. So hope you enjoy. Let's get into it. So I, once again, am still at the same company, but I've moved from being like an entry-level, more junior designer into mid-level designer role, and definitely much more competent at what I'm doing, way more independent, can, run my own projects, get everything together. But yeah, I guess like some of the main things I think I've learned is just that UX design, at least, is so much bigger than like what they teach you in school. It's not only communicating with other people, it's also bringing those people together and facilitating different conversations that need to happen to move your project or your design along, whether that's gathering feedback or like original research on what you need to be designing or like the problem that you're trying to solve. It's like designing is the easy part, okay? And then everything else like is kind of can be a headache, but it's still, I don't know, at least for me, I still really enjoy it. But yeah, I think the main thing that I've learned in the past 2 years is like, okay, I had these building blocks coming out of school that I knew theoretically how to use them and like what to do, but now this past 2 years has been like complete application and kind of like kicking the tires of what I know and my thought process around everything. I've learned basically how to take requirements and then see that all the way through to when developers are actually creating your design. So that was, I don't know, that's like cool and always like a good learning experience. And I've done that many times now. So that was exciting. I also, one of the big things is able to really explain my thought process behind my designs now. Originally, when I was kind of coming in, I'd be kind of timid of like, yeah, I think this is how it's supposed to be, just based on like other patterns I've seen. But now it's like, no, I can really take design fundamentals and like visual fundamentals and stuff and validate and like really explain why I'm doing what I'm doing to a variety of people. Like it's not just like people on my team that are also designers, but product management or dev or whatever, giving them a good enough reason to create the design that I made. And I think that is just honestly invaluable at this point. And I think something that I've really gotten pretty good at over the past 2 years. So that's exciting. But I guess too, wanted to kind of reflect on not only what I've done, but kind of what I want to do, like where I want to go. So 2 years is like a good chunk of time. It's nothing crazy. Like I haven't been in industry for 20 years or whatever, but 2 years is like a good set of time, I think, to just like kind of reflect on, okay, what do I know? What can I do? But now I feel like I can learn so much more still. It's kind of the same idea of as soon as you start learning something, you realize how much you don't know. And that is me right now. Like, I feel like there's so much I can still learn, so many things I can read, so many skills and like other things that are adjacent to UX design that I can be learning to further develop myself as a professional and as a designer and continue to grow in like what I'm doing. So I think one of the things I've noticed is that I feel like I'm just not as creative anymore. And I recently was listening to like this interview, I guess, by Orrin Welles. But he basically was a pioneer for like camera or videography or something like that. But basically the interview was all about like, oh, how did you like basically do the impossible and all this stuff? And his answer was pretty much just like, I was ignorant enough to think that I could. And like, I didn't know what was impossible and what wasn't. And so therefore, like, if I imagined what I wanted to do, then I had a cameraman that was able to also be willing to like try the impossible, and between the two, like between them, they were able to actually do it. So I think that can kind of translate into pretty much anything in life of, as soon as you kind of know the bounds of what is expected or kind of what is commonplace, what you can do, then you kind of stop thinking outside of that box of like, well, what if like we could do this, this, and this? And so I think I've kind of noticed myself like falling into a less creative path of, I can still like create creative solutions, but it's more like if I do that, then I'm already thinking like, oh, well, it's gonna be that much harder on the dev folks, or like this is like future phase stuff that we can't implement right now. So I just wanna like really try to push the bounds, and even if that means like creating a couple different designs, one that like definitely will work, and then push myself to make at least one other design that's like just kind of out there, like what if we did this? Like that would seemingly be crazy, but I think it's still a good exercise to be doing. I also want to code and like do more front end kind of development. So rather than just working in Figma and like prototyping and that kind of stuff, I want to learn how to be more rigorous like HTML and CSS stuff. Like I want to know how, not just how to create like a basic web page, because I like did that back when I was trying to get my first job, but more like how to connect to APIs and like have different like micro front end like interfaces that kind of all interact with each other. So I think that's kind of the next step in like me just getting better at understanding what we can do in the front end when we're actually developing stuff, better understand like the work that goes into that. And then also I think it's just like a good way to continue developing like a pretty interesting skill, and one that I like have been interested in lately. So I think those are kind of the next things. Work on not pigeonholing myself into not being creative. Like if it's impossible, great, let's make it possible. And then practice more coding and all of that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I guess that is kind of my quick reflection on being a UX designer for 2 years. It boggles my mind, but I want to hopefully make more videos, and yeah, this has kind of just got me thinking more about like what I wish I knew as a beginner designer after like, you know, my reflection off of 2 years and stuff like that. So hopefully more videos coming soon, but if you made it this far, thank you so much. Feel free to like and subscribe if you want to see more of my content. But until next time, hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.